And there you have it. This is a special edition of Tell Me Something Good. Not only special because we're live from London, but special because the guy sitting across the screen from me clearly is an influence in my life beyond anybody. When people ask me, first rule in my book, they say, dude, you get up at 3:30 every morning. How did that happen? I go, MY. That's why. So
Thank you.
welcome to the show, Michael Yormark. I could not be more excited to have you on board.
Thank you. I'm equally as excited. You know, it was so nice to connect with you a couple of weeks ago. And, you know, as you know, I've been in London. Actually, it's exactly 1 year today.
Wow,
And,
awesome.
you know, I ventured across the pond and opened up our first Roc Nation international office. It's been an incredible journey, but I do miss all my friends down in South Florida. I'm actually heading home on Friday for my daughter's birthday, which is nice, but I just don't get home often enough. So it's so nice to spend this time with you today.
Awesome. So there's so much about you that is inspirational, your story. So just to give you a rundown of what I want to talk about today, I want to talk about our relationship through all of the sports teams that we've worked with. I want to talk about what's going on with Jay-Z. I want to talk about working with your twin brother, which has to be the most amazing thing ever. So I'm assuming there's nothing out of bounds, correct?
No, you can ask me anything you want, and you know I'm going to enjoy this. This will be fun.
Awesome. Okay, so let's start with, you have this amazing discipline, mind, body, spirit, that the minute I met you, I knew I was meeting like a superhuman. I know a lot of that comes from your childhood and your mother. So could you sort of indulge us a little bit on, how that came about? And I know the story, but I think sharing it would be great.
Sure. You know, my mother has always been my inspiration, and my brother Brett's inspiration since we were very, very young. You know, she was a working mother. She was never home that often, and we had a housekeeper that raised us. And so I was able to watch firsthand what it took, the passion, the commitment, the dedication to put a roof over somebody's head, to take care of a family, to take care of children. And watching that each and every day just inspired me. It motivated me. And it just showed me that without hard work, without commitment, without discipline, without passion, it's very difficult to achieve success and ultimately greatness. So it was her and the example that she set while I was a young boy that, you know, instilled in me who I am today. And that passion, that commitment, that dedication, and the desire to be great every day is what drives me to get up in the morning at 3:30, to make sure that my mind and body is right to attack the day, and then to perform, quite frankly, at the highest level I can.
Which is just insane. I mean, when I hear you say I remember getting emails from you like stupid early in the morning, and I was like, dude, are you just getting in, or and so clearly you've lived this amazing disciplined life, and it's good to hear that your mother was a significant part of that. Go back to your first job in sports, because she is responsible for that as well, correct?
She was. So, you know, I went to Ohio University. I got my master's in sports administration after having attended the University of Maryland. And I must tell you that in the late 80s, it was very difficult to break into the business. And when I came out of graduate school, I thought I had the best resume. I'd done amazing internships. I'd worked really hard during college and graduate school to give myself a competitive advantage going into the workforce. But what I found out is that despite all the experience that I thought I had, I knew nothing. And it took me quite some time to get that first opportunity. It took me actually almost a year after I got out of graduate school to get that first job. And I remember sitting with my mother, and she was trying to convince me to go onto Wall Street, to do something different, because she saw the challenges that I was facing getting into the sports and entertainment industry. And I said, Mom, you know, this is my chosen field. This is what I went to school for, and this is my passion. And she said, you know what? I'm going to try to open up one door for you. And the door that she opened up was with the late and great Barry Halper, who used to be one of the minority owners of the New York Yankees. She called Barry and said, Barry, listen, I plead with you. I've never asked you any favors, but get my son an interview with the New York Yankees. Help him get his foot in the door. And I promise you that if you do this and he gets a job, he'll do a great job. And lo and behold, Barry Halper opened up the door for me. I remember that first interview like it was yesterday, and I knew that a lot was on the line. And so I went to the Bronx from Livingston, New Jersey. I interviewed for over 3 hours, and the executives that I interviewed with had told me during the interview that they were about to hire somebody else. But because of Barry Halper, they allowed me to interview at a very, very, late date, last minute. And they would let me know by the time I got home that night whether I got the job. And I traveled all the way back to Livingston, New Jersey from the Bronx. I drove up my driveway, and by the time I got to the front door, the phone rang, and it was the New York Yankees saying, Michael, you've just been hired. Here's the job. And so that started my incredible journey, and I thank my mother for opening up that door and giving me that opportunity.
I mean, you cannot make stories up like that. I mean, that is absolutely spectacular. So you talk about your career and your journey. You've had some amazing stops. When I did my homework for this, you and I know each other over 25 years of, being the iron that sharpens iron. I've always been driven to be the best I can be around you. And I think you've done that in so many places. So I date back to you was it Front Row with Wayne Huizenga? So why don't you give us like a quick, like I haven't written down what I think it is, but give us the quick journey because it's spectacular.
So, as I mentioned, the journey started at the New York Yankees in the Bronx, which was a dream of mine. As a kid growing up, I followed the New York Yankees. So, having the opportunity to work for the club that you admired as a kid was absolutely incredible. From there, I ventured to the media side of the sports industry and worked for a company called Katz Communications based out of New York City. And it was there that I met, the late and great Wayne Huizenga. I met some of his key executives down in South Florida that were building his sports empire at that time in the 90s. And I had a dream of moving to South Florida. That dream came true when Dean Jordan, one of Wayne's top executives, called me and said, Michael, your dream is coming true today. I'm offering you an opportunity to join Front Row Communications, which was the sales, broadcast, and marketing arm of all of Wayne's clubs. And as you know, at that time, Wayne owned the Panthers, the Marlins, and the Dolphins. It was really unique, a unique structure in professional sports. I remember this so vividly because the day I got the call from Dean Jordan, I walked into my boss's office within minutes and said, I'm out of here, man. And it just so happened that the Florida Panthers were playing against the New York Rangers 2 nights later. And I told Dean Jordan, Dean, I'm going to get on the plane with the club to come down to South Florida. I will be in the office in 48 hours. And that's exactly what I did. And so I started my job within 2 days of getting a job offer. And then I stayed at Front Row Communications for a couple of years. I then went back to the team side of the business with Doug McClain, the coach of the Florida Panthers, who took the team to the Stanley Cup Finals in the mid-90s. I moved to Columbus, Ohio, and I wasn't in Columbus too long because although it was a great city and a great opportunity to launch an expansion NHL team, I got a call from also one of the greatest owners in professional sports history, Bill Davidson, who at the time was the owner of the Detroit Pistons. And he had decided to buy the Tampa Bay Lightning in Tampa Bay. And he said, Michael, listen, I need a veteran who knows the Florida market. Here are the goals and objectives. I'm buying the Tampa Bay Lightning. Would you come back to Florida? And even though it was one of the most difficult conversations I've ever had in my career with Doug McClain, who was the president of the club, I ended up leaving Columbus prematurely and went back to Florida, to Tampa Bay, to run the Tampa Bay Lightning. I was there for 4.5 years, and then the Florida Panthers came calling. And they said, Michael, we want to bring you back to South Florida. You've had a history at this franchise. We'd like you to be our chief operating officer. I accepted the opportunity. I progressed to the president and then ultimately became the CEO and stayed for over 12 years.
Now, what's interesting about that is you did the same exact thing in terms of leaving, because you and I were in the middle of a deal for the Volvo Tennis Classic. We were going to put Mercedes' name on it. You called me from the car and said, I'm on my way to South Florida, dude. I'm taking it. I'm
That's right.
like, what do you mean? Like, you just took the job and you're already leaving? So, which is, who does that?
Steve, for me, it was like coming full circle. I had loved South Florida, but Wayne Huizinga's sports empire was starting, to break up, so to speak. He was beginning to sell off some of the assets. And so that's why I ended up going to Columbus. But I always had an eye on coming back to Florida. And when I came back through Tampa Bay with the eye of always going back to South Florida. And so when the opportunity, was offered to me by Alan Cohen and Jordan Zimmerman, the owners of the Florida Panthers, I jumped on it. And I stayed there, as you know, for quite a while, for 12 years. It really became my home. I developed a lot of great roots. My wife and I, Dana, had our daughter, Sophia. And so South Florida is still my home. We still live in Boca Raton. But after 12 years, I realized that I needed something more. I wanted a global platform. I wanted to do something different. I wanted to open up new doors for myself. And all of a sudden, Jay-Z, the owner and founder of Roc Nation,
hold that thought for 1 second, because I really want to give you the time to talk about Jay-Z. But there was so much that you did that was groundbreaking in the 12 years in that building. I mean, first of all, who would bring hockey to South Florida? I mean, that in and of itself was pretty crazy. But I'm going to throw out some names of things you did, and I want you to speak about it. Sinatra Theater.
I realized very quickly that selling hockey in South Florida was a challenge. And so we needed to develop, an entertainment value proposition, especially for our commercial partners and also, for our hockey fans. And so the development of the Sinatra Theater, and it was an amazing little venue. It was a venue within the venue. We had some of the great old-time artists of all time perform in that 3,000 seat venue inside the Bank Atlantic Center, which is now refresh my memory, the BB&T Center. The BB&T
Truist.
Center.
Now it's Truist.
Oh, it's Truist. Okay.
Right. BB&T changed their name. They merged with Sunbank or SunTrust,
Okay.
and now it's called Truist. But I want people to know the innovation that you brought, the actual drape system that made that a smaller theater. If I wasn't there to see it myself, you couldn't imagine the way you got in the building, the way you would never know that it was the large building it was. And I remember you brought Pavarotti to South Florida, which was like you say, yes, you did. It was unheard of, the talent.
Well, and I must tell you that I was very fortunate because, prior to the development of the Sinatra Theater, I met Frank Sinatra's old-time manager, Elliot Wiseman, who actually lived in South Florida. And Elliot wanted to get back into the entertainment industry after late and great Sinatra passed away. And he said, Michael, I have this idea for you. Let's start the Sinatra Theater. And he owned the rights to the Sinatra name. So we were able to use Sinatra's name for $1, create a theater with his name on it, which really was an incredible point of differentiation. And then everyone that was an admirer of Frank Sinatra wanted to play his theater. So it was a great door opener for us in a great conversation that we could have. Elliot also was the one responsible for bringing Pavarotti to, at that time, the Bank Atlantic Center, which was super special.
So I want people to get a sense of that you weren't just a leader, you were an innovator. I was part of it. I watched it. You were driven, but like nobody else I had ever seen. Your work ethic is beyond imagination. I'll throw one more asset that you created, which was called Club Red, which, like, when you told me, I was like, dude, are you out of your mind? We're going to rip out the stadium. We're going to create. So just give us a little bit about Club Red as well, because it was unbelievable, still is.
So, another example of really trying to create an entertainment experience and trying to amplify the entertainment value proposition for potential season seat holders and club members. The idea around that club was that it was all inclusive. You walk into the club, whether it be for a concert or a hockey game or any event, and from the moment you stepped in the club, anything that you would ever want, from great service to great food to great drinks and a great seat, was packaged as part of your membership. So it was the first of its kind in professional sports. We took the best seats in the house and turned them into Club Red. And it was a great moneymaker for us. Because of the content that was coming into the building on a consistent basis, it was a no-brainer for us to create that all-inclusive opportunity that, again, included not only hockey games, but every concert and show.
So a couple of takeaways there. I think you grew the building. It was the number 5 grossing building in the world, I think, at one point, right?
Yes.
I mean, just
yes.
So your connection and your understanding that it wasn't about the game, it was about the experience and the entertainment, I think leads us to the conversation about Jay-Z. So let's hear how do you land on all of the great people in your life and then land with Jay-Z?
So to your point, the building was blessed to have a lot of loyal partners, and Roc Nation was one of them. A lot of the content that was coming through our building, the Jay-Z's, the Rihanna's, the Kanye West's at that time, the J. Cole's, all came to the Bank Atlantic Center because of our relationship with Roc Nation. Roc Nation, being a company that's owned by Live Nation. And that relationship with Roc Nation started because my brother, who up until about a year ago, was the CEO of the Brooklyn Nets. Prior to that, the New Jersey Nets, had a relationship with Jay because Jay was a minority partner. And so through that relationship and through my brother's relationship with Roc Nation, they were very loyal to me and very loyal to our arena. And as Jay started expanding Roc Nation, especially into sports, he wanted, to some degree, to professionalize the company, to bring in an executive that would ultimately be the face of the company, and really to venture into new areas of sports and entertainment. And so he offered me the opportunity to join his company. The first time we chatted, and I was dealing with his chief operating officer, now the CEO, Desiree Perez, I actually said I couldn't accept it. Because at the time I was selling the Florida Panthers from Cliff Viner to the new owners. And I was committed to making sure that I got through that transaction before I moved on. Once that deal was closed, and it was closed, I guess, almost 6 or 7 years ago to the day, I started working for the new ownership group. And quite frankly, it wasn't the right fit for me. I knew that it was time to move on. And Jay was actually playing our building on January 2nd, right after the transaction had been completed, called me into his dressing room and said, "Michael, we're not leaving tonight until you accept this opportunity." And so on the spot, I said, "Jay, if you let me commute back and forth, I'll accept tonight." And I did. And the rest is history. It's almost 7 years later, and it's been an incredible journey with Jay and all of his partners.
So I can't fathom that it's been 7 years, because I was in your office frequently during that whole journey, like just kind of putting the pieces together. And I was like, listen, if there's a jump from where you are to the next step, that felt like the right step. So speak to us about what that was, and now how does London come in the picture? How does your brother come in the picture? There's so much happening there. The stuff you share with me about Africa, give us that update if you don't mind.
Sure. So I started, I started working for Jay that February. I think it was 2000. I think it was 2000. We're in 20 now. I think it was 2014, maybe 2013. And I was based out of New York City, commuting between South Florida and New York, and just really expanding the sports division, leaning in on the entertainment division as well. And our company was relatively young when I started, and so there was a lot of growth and acquisition that we went through. About 4 years ago, we started thinking about the rest of the world. We started thinking about sports in Europe. We started thinking about football, soccer, other sports that potentially we could lean in on. And we signed our first player from Bayern Munich, Jerome Boateng. Jerome and I became very close friends, and he really educated me on the football space. And I realized that there was an opportunity for Roc Nation to come across the pond, do things differently, do them better, and really be more client focused than other traditional agencies here in the UK and throughout Europe. And so my owner said to me, Michael, if you want to go and build out this company in Europe and the rest of the world, you got to be there. You can't do it from New York. And so I said, you know what? I'll make the move. And so a year ago, we opened up our first international office here in London. And the last 12 months, Steve, have been absolutely amazing. When I think about our first anniversary, I think about what we've accomplished. We're involved in consulting. We're consulting with some of the biggest clubs in Europe on the football side. I just went through an acquisition. We now have 31 footballers, world-class footballers from around Europe. We're actually in the rugby space. We represent the two best players in the world from South Africa. We're about to sign our third rugby player, the biggest player in Europe, within the next couple of weeks. We've expanded into China through a strategic partnership with a company called Seka. And so now we're on the ground in China, expanding our business, looking at opportunities in that part of the world. And one of the most exciting things that we've done is we've entered the African market. And I've been spending a lot of my time in South Africa, pre-COVID, and I'm actually going back in 2 weeks for the first time in 8 months. But South Africa has become a very, very fertile market for Roc Nation and our future expansion. We've signed, 2 rugby players from South Africa. Sia Khaleesi, who was the first black captain in the history of the Springboks, the South African rugby national team, is now a client of ours and really helping us navigate through the South African market, pinpointing where we can step in, lean in, and assist. It's been remarkable. We're also about to get into the cricket space by signing 2 of the top 10 players in the world, also from South Africa. And we are exploring building the first Roc Nation high performance training facility in Cape Town as well, in South Africa. So a lot of things are going on in that part of the world. I must tell you, it's a fascinating place. And the first year here in Europe has been amazing. I mean, it's gone so quickly. And despite COVID, we've built something very special.
And you're still somewhat commuting back and forth, which is a commitment beyond what most people would do, I think.
So, I was a bit crazy. I thought that I could commute and go back and forth every 2 weeks. I've quickly realized it's just too far. So I guess, unfortunately, I get home usually every 4 weeks. I spend 4 or 5 days at home and then I come back. I try to bring my family to Europe as much as possible, but obviously with the travel restrictions and with COVID, that's been a bit challenging, since March, April. But hopefully things get back to normal in 21, and my wife and daughter can spend a little bit more time here in Europe and enjoy, the opportunity to visit other countries, to experience different cultures, and hopefully to journey to South Africa with me, because again, Cape Town is God's country, one of the most magnificent places in the world.
Beautiful. So it's hard to believe that you'll be home for her birthday. So that means that last year for her birthday, you threw one of the best parties I have ever been to in my life.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, it was super incredible. So I don't know how much you're willing to share, but your friends in the entertainment business made it unforgettable. As a matter of fact, we were saying, what happens to Sophie next? Because that was off the chart.
So her bat mitzvah was very, very special. It was in your backyard in Palm Beach at the Breakers, which was absolutely amazing. And to your point, you do so much hard work for your clients, whether it be artists and athletes. It's so nice when they say, you know what, Michael, what can we do for you? And so I cashed in on a lot of favors for that special moment, that special weekend. DJ Khaled opened up the party in an incredible way, and the kids absolutely loved him. The adults loved him.
I I didn't really know who it was. I called him
Yeah,
DJ Khalid, and everybody was like, "Dude, you're wrong."
DJ Khaled was followed by Normani, who was the lead singer for First Harmony. She is an absolute incredible artist, and the anchor of our evening was Nick Jonas, who absolutely just killed it. This was prior to rejoining and coming back together with the Jonas Brothers. So we had three magnificent artists that just wanted to be part of the evening, that entertained the kids and the adults. And it's a night that we'll always remember.
It was seriously one of the most fun times I've ever had in my life. But you bring up a really good point. You work really super hard. I don't think most people have any idea what hard really looks like compared to you. So I know that Fuel did a story on you a while back about your workout routine. Could you sort of walk through what your workout routine is? Because I know you can bounce a quarter off of you, and how that leads to what your day is as structured. Because I mirrored you early on. I wake up at 3:30. People go, "Really? Come on, man!" Boom. So if you could talk to people about how disciplined and routine you are.
Sure. For me, health, wellness, and fitness has always been a key to my success. And I think, like all of us, we're so busy, we get pulled in so many different directions during the day, that the best way to start the day early is to work on you, is to make sure that your mind and your body is in the right place to attack the day with the passion, commitment, and dedication that it requires to win. Because at the end of the day, Steve, let's be honest, all of us, no matter what we do in life, we want to win. And so I have to put myself in the best position to try to win each and every day. And it starts with the workout. It starts pushing myself as hard as I can to get the best workout I can. I put the phone down. It's the only time during the day that I don't look at the phone. I put it down and I focus on me. And so when I step into the office, I know I've already accomplished something for me. And I know that accomplishment will ultimately help me accomplish things for others. And I've been doing this, nonstop. I must tell you that I was really proud of myself during COVID, because I worked out 92 straight days, an hour and a half each day, 92 straight days, high tempo, high cardio, weights, and it brought me to another level. It just brought me to another level. So I'm constantly challenging myself to get to another level and to see how far I can go with my health, wellness, and fitness, which ultimately helps me get to another level when it comes to my performance in my job.
Incredibly well said and true. I mean, it takes me back to the days when I would come to the arena and work out with you and Manny, and basically had a hard time driving to my office because I was crippled. It was just insanity. So you set a really high bar, but one of the things I know about you, I know this to be true, is that you've had amazing people around you. If you look at the sports landscape, it is just full of people that have come through the Michael Yormark world and either have their own business or are high level executives in sports. So speak to us about the power of team.
Sure. At the end of the day, it is all about team. There is no I in team. And I've been very fortunate to work with some of the best leaders in our industry today. I often tell people that at some point in my life, when I decide to walk away and just enjoy life, that my legacy won't be about the companies I was a part of and the companies I built or the accomplishments within those organizations, it'll be the people that I impacted. And what gives me so much joy today is seeing some of these incredible individuals and the jobs that they're doing around the world in sports and entertainment. That's what it's all about. You know, it's teaching, it's mentoring, it's helping others reach their goals and objectives in life. And I've been very fortunate to be able to do that. And so for me, it's a big part of the journey. It's a big part of the journey. And I think that's why I enjoy working with athletes now, because I'm trying to help them achieve their goals and objectives. I remember after Sia Khaleesi won the World Cup in Japan, first black captain in the history of the national team in South Africa. And it was amazing that I was able to get him on the phone within a couple of days of winning the World Cup. And then I was down in Cape Town meeting with him and his wife. And I asked him, what are your goals and objectives? And he started talking about a lot of his dreams, the things that he wanted to accomplish with this new platform that he had created for himself. And then he ultimately said, I know Roc Nation can help me achieve my goals and objectives, and that's why I want to join your family. And so that's what it's all about. It's about helping people. It's about inspiring people. It's about motivating people and helping them achieve all of their life dreams so that there are no regrets at the end of the journey.
You know, it's funny. I recently watched the Michael Jordan thing called The Last Dance, and he pushed people to a place that his teammates, to a place they couldn't get to on their own. And I remember you would call like 7 o'clock meeting on a Monday morning, and I'm like, this guy is crazy. But you pushed all of us to a place, certainly the people that work for you full time, me as a partner, vendor, whatever. I do want to let everybody know that's watching, if you have questions, are you okay with answering
Sure.
a couple of questions? So as they come through, Shay is manning the board. My last thought for the day is, you have a twin brother, which being a twin is not that novel, but having a twin like your twin is so unusual, because not only are you mirror images of each other, as a matter of fact, Michelle, who my wife, who is watching this, she said she was in a restaurant in New York and thought it was you, went up to him and thought it was you. So, but so driven, so much alike. So comment on what it's like to have family, a brother, a twin brother that drives you the way he does.
Well, you know, I think it's really worked well for both of us, because you're right. I mean, being a twin isn't unique, but having a twin that's really lived a mirror life is somewhat unique. And we inspire each other, we motivate each other, but at the same time, we're thrilled and so happy for each other's success. When my brother, you know, ended up selling the Barclays Center and the Brooklyn Nets about a year ago, it was an emotional time for him because he had put so much sweat and tears into that project, but it was also time for him to turn the page. And he was looking for that next chapter, that next journey. And I encouraged him to really think about coming to Roc Nation to be my partner and a partner of the owners, because he was so close to them. And as you know, when you get to this point in your life, it's not what you do, it's who you work with, right? That's really special. And so ultimately, he decided to join Roc Nation. He took over some of the responsibilities that I had in New York. He's become really the right-hand person of Desiree Perez, the CEO, as well as all the owners. He and I communicate every day. We're the co-CEOs of Roc Nation Unified. And his success is my success and vice versa. I never thought we'd be blessed at this point in our careers to have the opportunity to work together. And Steve, I must tell you, it wasn't easy at first, because you have to balance your personal relationship with the business relationship. And that took a little bit of a transition. That took a little bit of time, but we got into a groove, and it's been amazing. And I'm just so happy that he's part of our family now, and that we're doing some great things together.
So I know you guys spend a lot of time together socially. You vacation together. I think I read somewhere that your ideal job in life would be to own a hotel in Aruba. Is that true?
You know, When my brother and I graduated from college, we made a commitment that we would always spend Christmas together, and God willing, if we had family and children, that they would be with us. And so we've kept that promise each and every year. And Aruba is a very special part of our life. It's a special place. It's our home away from home, and it's a place where we just spend quality time together. So, at some point, I would love to do something on the island, whether it's with him or just with my wife and daughter. But, for me, there's no better place in the world than Aruba.
Unbelievable. So you've covered a lot of ground. I really appreciate your time. If there's no questions, which people, Scott Garber, Jake Noodleberg, who's watching, if you get Michelle, if you have any questions, now's the time. Before we get to that, here we have a question. Okay. As a law student with a passion in sports, what steps do you recommend I take to fulfill my goal of working in the sports industry? That's a great question, Jake
Yeah.
Levy.
I mean, my first reaction is get out, meet as many people as you can in the industry, network, open up as many doors as you possibly can. And if you have a passion point within the industry, start getting some experience while you're going through school. Because ultimately, it's not always what you know. As we know, Steve, it's who you know. And who's willing to take a chance on you, who's willing to open up a door for you. Listen, my journey started because a family friend said, you know what, I'm gonna push for this kid, and I'm gonna vouch for this kid. So contacts in the industry are critical. Get out, go network, meet people, sell yourself in order to get your first job.
That's a really great, I talk to people about, forget about getting paid, get in the
Yes.
organization, let people know who you are. And I know that you're a man of that philosophy, because when Office Depot was taking their name off the building, you gave my little firm a shot to sell the naming rights. Now, it didn't work out for us, but it was the best experience of my life and absolutely changed the direction, because you gave me a shot, and you always did. As a matter of fact, one of the lasting things that you and I did was the good time guarantee. Do you remember that?
That's right. Yes, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Amazing. So
Absolutely.
Michelle Esposito says, my son is a corporate partnerships for FC Dallas, previous with the Florida Panthers. What advice do you have for him?
Just keep working hard, keep working hard and be the best you can be, right? Get in the office early, leave late, do whatever it takes to win, do whatever it takes to be successful, and then continue to keep an eye out for that next opportunity. Listen, soccer in America is a growing sport. So being in the MLS is a great league, but, there's so many other opportunities. So, I would just tell your son to be aggressive, to keep his eye on the ball, but at the same time, look for opportunities where he can continue to grow and climb that corporate ladder, but do it with passion, do it with dedication, do it with conviction, and do it with hard work.
So, like I said, we covered a ton of ground. I really appreciate your time. In the last minute, what would you want to leave with the whole audience in terms of, COVID hit? A lot of people are using COVID as an excuse. I hear a lot of this. Well, we're waiting for it to get back to normal. I don't think that there's a normal coming back. So I'd like your take on that.
I would tell everyone, do what I'm doing. You know what? Everyone thinks I'm crazy. I opened up our office back in June. I travel all over the world. I go back and forth, to America. I'm flying to Italy and Germany and South Africa and France. I'm not going to allow COVID to stop me from achieving the goals and objectives that I have for this company. And it's very easy to say, you know what, we'll wait till COVID's over. All right? A little bit more challenging to be proactive and still be determined and not allow this disease, this horrible disease and virus, to stop us from achieving. So, as far as I'm concerned, I approach every day as if there is no virus. Like, I don't even know what COVID is because it's not stopping me. I take my B12, I take my vitamin C, I get tested every week, and I go on my job. And I'm not going to stop traveling. I'm not going to stop hustling. I'm not going to stop doing anything that I'm doing because I wake up every morning, I want to win. And I'm not going to allow this virus to prevent me from winning.
You are a special human being. I don't know many that match up to you, but I know that there's one person that you admire that you speak about. So take us home with who's that one person that you admire?
You know, I go back to the beginning, Steve. I spoke to my mom this morning, and she's the person I admire and inspires me every day, even
Love it.
today, man. She's my biggest fan. And when the day is not as bright as I want it to be, and she calls me and she inspires me and motivates me, that means so much. And she's just been along the journey each and every day, despite some of her own challenges. Always supporting me and encouraging me and inspiring me, to reach greatness. And so she's the person that helps me get up in the morning. She's the person that helps me overcome the challenges that sometimes we face each and every day. And she's it. She's everything to me. Before I get off though, I do want to just say one thing. I want to congratulate the Miami Heat. I still have a lot of good friends with the Heat
Yeah.
organization. I want to congratulate them on getting back to the finals. What an incredible job they've done against all odds to get to this moment, and hopefully they can bring a championship to South Florida. And I also want to wish all those people that are celebrating Yom Kippur and the Jewish holidays just a happy and healthy new year. I know it's been a challenging year, but we're going to get through this. We're going to finish the year strong. We're going to stay safe, stay healthy, and we're going to go into 21 with a lot of momentum. So happy New Year.
You are a special human being. I am uber blessed that you have been in my life and will be in my life. And I can't wait till we get to break bread again soon.
I'll see you soon, my brother. Thank you so much and happy New Year.
You got it, man. You'd be great.
Okay, take care.